Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause, and a lot of you know about the CNN blackmail stuff that's been going on. If you don't know, then feel free to go check out my past videos that I covered it pretty well, pretty extensively. I wanted to add a little more onto that. So I've got an article review here saying media outlets are shunning CNN after attack on free speech. But before I get to that, something interesting has been going on in the Twitterverse. People are starting to come out of the woodwork claiming to have also been blackmailed by CNN. And this is very important because this shows that it's not just one person, it's not just one, reporter. It's, we've seen that CNN has effectively endorsed the reporter that attempted blackmail, but we still had only seen one case. Well, this guy, Usonian Fascist, is claiming that he was also blackmailed, and there's some evidence here that he could be telling the truth. So it says CNN blackmail at Donnie O'Sullivan, a producer at CNN, attempted to dox me recently. He then later pretended he was writing an article on Twitter trolls in an attempt to gather more personal information about me. And it says, "Hey, I hope you are keeping well. I am doing a story on Twitter trolls and was hoping you're available to chat. Thanks, Donnie." The second message was addressed to my private email, which is not available through Twitter. That's pretty hard to explain right there, unless they're doing some deep research on him. He followed up immediately with the standard checklist of accusations. It says, a lot of what you post on Twitter is xenophobic, racist, and anti-Semitic. Are you xenophobic, racist, and anti-Semitic? After posting my name, finding me on other sites, and harassing me at my private email account, I contacted Twitter with this info. However, since Donnie has a blue check mark, his account was not suspended, as so many others have been for much less. I don't think it's the blue check mark. He works for CNN, and they get a pass because they're in bed with Twitter. Is this you that he's bragging about? Deb asks, the little worm. And as you can see here, I'll try to blow it up if it will load. This is great reporting by K-File. Horrible racist keyboard warriors change tune once identified. He's talking about the previous blackmail case, of course, done by CNN. At K-File is the guy who did that, the reporter who did that. I tracked down a guy who was trolling me recently. Once he realized I had identified him, he apologized and asked me not to tie all the anti-Semitic, racist, and sexist posts he had shared back to him. So, it shows that, when Usonian Fascist claims that he was pretending to write an article, it certainly seems like it was pretend. This seems right here to be pretend, because he's saying that he tracked a guy down and identified him. He's not talking about any sort of article that he was going to write here. Convenient, huh? And then Usonian Fascist says, I believe so. He's talking about me. These people need to be stopped. He has no right to do that, and then brag about it. I hope someone sues the little pig, says Deb. So that gives you, this is a pattern at CNN. And, I don't think CNN should get a pass I think how they reacted to the K-File blackmail case tells us everything. They defended K-File. They went out of their way to push the narrative. It wasn't just that, oops, this was damage control. This was like they were happy about this story. They thought they were really on to something. This shows this is, a narrative CNN's pushing to try to, it's a strategy, I should say, to try to push back against what they see as quote unquote trolls. And so they are engaging in a culture war at this point. CNN is no longer news. They are culture warfare. And, I mean, you could say they're propagandists, but they are basically a culture warfare military. It says, media outlets are shunning CNN after attack on free speech. Let's get to this one. CNN may have literally violated federal law in their attempt to manipulate an alleged Reddit user who claims was behind the creation of a short video posted by President Donald J. Trump. The meme posted showed Trump outside of a WWE ring and clotheslining a superimposed image of CNN logo. The more this is explained in all the different ways, I laugh every time. It's just so funny. It was entertainment. One of the most retweeted images ever on Twitter. That, however, didn't stop rogue fake news outlet CNN from going on the attack, claiming that the Reddit user who made the image posted racist comments prior with a mix of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism on his Reddit account. CNN then claimed via Andrew Kaczynski, this is at Kfile, on Twitter that they had hunted down the Reddit user and received an apology from him. And in their press release, they stated they would not release his identity, but reserve the right to publish his name if they felt the need to. And actually, I would point out, they tried to make it seem like he somehow contacted them first. And it was obviously total bullshit. They coerced him. This was essentially taken as a threat and sent a massive backlash across social media in a firestorm of angry right-wing Trump supporters and pundits as well as celebrities. Well, you're gonna get a lot of people on the left. I wouldn't discount how many people on the left that are for free speech. That are gonna also push back against us. I'm not talking about the crazy far left political people. I'm talking about a lot of the people who aren't quite as political, or they're not quite as left wing, and they're your everyday people. They're in the middle, and they see this as a not necessarily as an issue that affects them right away, but as something that's morally wrong. This was essentially taken as a threat and sent a massive backlash across social media and a firestorm of angry right-wing Trump supporters and pundits as well as celebrities. A lot of people who don't care about politics, they look at this and they're like, why is a news organization engaged in this petty kind of bickering? That's how the average person sees it. That doesn't care about politics. And they're like, well, why should I go to them for news when this is the kind of crap they're talking about? Let's take a look at what some of them had to say, including the media, in regards to what is now perceived as an attempt to blackmail Reddit user Han Asshole Solo into apologizing with the fear the outlet would dox him, endangering his life if he didn't. You're going to see some really important people weighing in, and I think what they have to say is quite interesting. Julian Assange, she's just a little important, right? Kind of famous guy that talks about, the free press quite a bit. Julian Assange wrote that CNN also appears to have committed a federal felony violation of 18 U.S. Code Statute 241 in relation to the First Amendment. And he's got a whole slew of lawyers by his side to help him release that statement. Julian Assange's tweet would send shockwaves across the political arena as well as reach into the hearts and minds of millions on the right. CNN had potentially violated federal law. One thing I don't like about this article is how right-left they're making this. I really don't think it's a right-left issue. I think CNN has gone down the path of, attacking the ordinary American. And a lot of Americans are going to be outraged by this and rally behind Even if they're on the left, they're going to rally behind the victim on the right. MSNBC's political analyst Dr. Jason Johnson tweeted that, "I'm not proposing any legal action. I'm saying if someone is worried about it, don't post gifs with someone's logo. Just don't speak, you know?" And basically suggested that he defended CNN's right to blackmail or dox someone who posts something he doesn't like. Sad. Now the issue here is, one of the big issues is how many resources CNN has at their disposal. They have all these reporters, they have lots of money, they have tons of funding. The average person doesn't have all that. They have a huge platform to reach others and control the narrative completely. USA Today wrote that this is my favorite one of them all. USA Today wrote that it's the antithesis of journalism for a news organization to monitor speech and decide whether someone is crossing a line and should be ruined. How can you put it any better than that? I mean, the potential that they're breaking the law is, great, and I hope they get their ass sued off, but this is just worded so perfectly that it's got to be my favorite comment. USA Today is not only correct and spot on with the remarks, but they underscore an important point, that once the media begins to objectively interfere in what a private citizen is or is not allowed to say, they're essentially no longer the media. Fox News asked its own readers, did CNN commit a crime? Then they committed to underscore responses from elsewhere across the web. Eventually quoting Senator Ted Cruz saying, "Troubling. I assume CNN's lawyers are examining Georgia Statute 16816, theft by extortion. If CNN constructively obtained the gift maker's IP, it's a Georgia crime. If they threaten to disseminate any information tending to subject any person to hatred, contempt, or ridicule," which they're clearly doing here. The question is, how did they find him? Did they actually go and wrongfully get the IP? Cruz's words shows just how troubling the actions of CNN were. And but in the past videos I've talked about, like on healthcare, I talked about how different senators and congressmen in general play different roles. Like Senator Ron Johnson plays the economic role. There are, like Senator Dianne Feinstein. She plays more of a, social role. Hillary Clinton, when she was a senator, she played more of a foreign policy role, things like that. But Ted Cruz plays more of a lawyer role, so this is kind of what he does. He plays that lawyer role and he speaks to the public. Ethan Ralph of the Ralph Retort stated that CNN is justifying their own wrongdoings by trying to pin blame on the president for somehow not knowing about the Reddit user's history. Exactly. When Trump retweets something, whether it's him or his people, whoever does it, everybody knows when you retweet something, all the other stuff that person posted has nothing to do with your retweet. If they're like a complete racist or whatever in their other stuff, if the tweet you retweeted isn't racist, you're not expected to know, what the account is about. And I don't think that should change even for the president. He shouldn't be held to the standard where he can't tweet anything where, there's any little thing that can be found on anybody else's account, because that's just not realistic. He wrote, a political contributor for MSNBC has thrown his hat in the ring to come to the defense of illegal extortion being conducted by CNN in retaliation for an embarrassing meme that was tweeted out by the president. Raw Story, however, took a totally different approach, targeting the image board 8chan with slander and outright lies alongside political commenter Jack Posobiec as a target. Raw Story wrote Jack Posobiec, a controversial pro-Trump activist who has attended White House briefings, hyped information on Wednesday that he claimed were the personal details of multiple CNN employees and talent. They continued with, in a message posted to Twitter, which Raw Story is not linking to, Posobiec said that he received the information from the white supremacist group 8chan. You heard it here, folks. 8chan is a white supremacist group, apparently, according to Raw Story. To clarify, this is false. No. Jack is friends with some programmers who happen to use image boards. They are not white supremacists. They are right-wing activists. Jack was correct that 8chan did dox CNN reporters in response to their blackmail. Jack did nothing wrong, and the attack on him should result in a lawsuit. Now, we don't know that that's going to happen, but in this article, they're just saying that, in their opinion, Jack Posobiec should sue Raw Story for that comment, for defamation. 8chan is not a white supremacist website. It's an image board that allows free speech that may often be graphic and vulgar, sure. A user can create a board and allow other users to post there without any restraint. In fact, 8chan has several image boards on its site, including Christian, a religious board, TV, which discusses popular television culture, Lefty Poll, which is a progressive demographic, Poll, which is politically incorrect, uncensored, among dozens of others. To call 8chan a white supremacist website is not just slander, if not libel and defamation of character, it's an outright lie. So, are the people on Lefty Poll also white supremacists? Raw Story? What is abundantly clear at this point is that CNN chose to stoop to low tactics in order to retaliate against a user who triggered them by his or her past post history on Reddit. What also seemingly could have occurred is that CNN was given the IP address of Han Asshole Solo. CNN possibly then used its own connection to the internet service provider Time Warner to locate the individual. Such action should not only be condemned, but CNN continues to defend their attack and possible blackmail. That's the point I made earlier. They continue to defend this action. As a company, they are on board with the action of the reporter. The action of the reporter does represent CNN in this case. Truly remarkable, but not surprising. And as we can see, people are coming out of the woodwork now saying, you know, hey, I've been doxxed too and blackmailed effectively. And so this is a pattern of behavior by CNN. So it's just really interesting, and this is going to get really ugly for CNN. Really, really ugly. And, you know, I don't think I'm overstating it. You could see CNN collapse. I'm not even joking. I don't think the mainstream media in general will collapse. I think this will, you know, whether CNN may continue to exist, but I think that you'll see a bunch of heads get fired. I highly doubt. If I had to bet, I would bet that Zucker is not the CEO within like 3 years. CNN maybe they go bankrupt, maybe they sell off, maybe they just completely collapse. But however it happens, there are so many potential lawsuits against them that, and there are potential lawsuits people don't even know about, and I may be covering some more about a racial discrimination case that some people were bringing against CNN. I'm less confident in, but it's just something else they have to deal with, and I may be doing a video on that soon. So CNN is using some horrible, horrible tactics, and they couldn't have turned the public away against them any further. And now they're turning other media against them. You know, media has a history of sticking together and defending each other, but a lot of media can't even defend them on this. And we'll see what happens, but we are winning the culture war against CNN. Have a good one, guys.